Chapter 12 End of the 100-Year Contract I. Dimensional Rift. Asterisk. In that infinite space separating all parallel worlds, acting as a kaleidoscopic wall, one could observe, somewhere in the dimensional rift, a multitude of crystal creatures. From small, almost insect-like forms no taller than 2 meters to giants towering 500 meters high, blending impossible shapes and sizes. They all shared one thing in common: strange crimson cores within their transparent bodies, making them even more enigmatic to behold. These creatures, known as phrases, marched toward a particular world with a single purpose: to destroy its civilization and, amidst the ruins of living beings, find their queen. Atop one of the gigantic superior-ranked phrases, shaped like a whale, stood a humanoid figure leading the army of millions. This being, unlike its companions, bore a human-like appearance, but everything about it was made of crystal, from its hair to its eyes. It was the pinnacle of its invasive race. The phrase, with an expression of fury, recalled the humiliating defeat it had suffered at the hands of a human who had self-proclaimed as the protector of that world. Is that damn bastard still there? Surely he's dead by now, right? He's just a human. Time should have annihilated him. Or has it? The phrase roared, visibly irritated. 90 years ago, an army of millions of phrases had invaded that world with the intent of eradicating its civilization. Their mission was twofold: destroy or find their queen, following her traces between worlds. But when they attempted to breach the dimensional rift to allow their army to pass, a golden-haired young woman appeared, clad in an astral qipao, wielding a key that resembled a staff. With a whisper, she said, "Segva," and thus, the entire dimensional rift was sealed, closing the entrance to that world and preventing the invaders from entering. Then, the world's protector, the infamous human, appeared and defeated the entire army in a battle that lasted 15 days. In the end, only this humanoid phrase managed to escape, terrified, leaving the others behind. Since that day, there had been no more invasions of humanoid phrases. However, the race never stopped sending low, medium, and high-rank phrases with a single goal: to weaken the human. What they didn't realize was that, far from affecting their enemy, these invaders became useful materials for him, allowing him to forge magical weapons and tools. The phrase's material was perfect for channeling magical power, and although Aiden cursed them for not letting him rest, the benefits were undeniable. He must be dead, he must be. He was just a human, albeit a powerful one. His body should have weakened over the years, the humanoid phrase murmured as it commanded its army. Like him, other humanoid phrases marched with the same goal: revenge, ambition, and the desire to find the queen. If I find that arrogant human, and he turns out to be an old man, I'll kill him with my own hands, and the queen will be mine. I will be the sovereign of my race. I will invade world after world and bring them under my banner. It shouted furiously as the whale it stood on advanced swiftly through the dimensional rift. Some of its companions heard its words and laughed, but said nothing. Deep down, they all shared the same goal. Although most longed to devour the queen and claim her power, not all thought the same way. Some humanoid phrases remained loyal to the queen, awaiting her return, even if their method of finding her was through the destruction of civilizations. Asterisk. After advancing for some time in the dimensional rift, the humanoid phrase, with its powerful abilities, saw something in the distance that left it paralyzed. What? Its body trembled, unable to believe what its crystal eyes were witnessing. A solitary human figure sat on a golden, floating throne, suspended in the dimensional rift. His white hair, almost ethereal, and tired golden eyes emanated an unsettling calm. With one hand, he gently stroked the hair of a girl resting on his lap. The imposing presence of that being made all the humanoid phrases feel strange, as if something in the air had shifted. Impossible. He was just a human. I made sure to confirm he wasn't a filthy elf, demon, or fairy. He was a human. With its abilities, it had clearly seen that Aiden was in fact a human. But what it was seeing now defied all logic. How the hell does he still look the same as 90 years ago, roared the humanoid phrase, its body trembling with rage and terror as it felt those golden eyes fixed on it. Suddenly, Aiden, without moving, whispered with his lips, "Found you? No. I must escape," thought the phrase, desperate. It's impossible to win like this. And if he's here, there's no way to open the entrance to that world because of that girl with him. With incredible speed, it turned around, and in an instant, bent its knees to propel itself in the opposite direction. Boom! With a colossal leap, it shot off, fleeing from Aiden. But to its horror, a shimmering, colorful rift appeared in front of it. A second later, Aiden's voice echoed softly in the air. "Michael, Latybe." A key emerged from the spatial distortion and, with lethal speed, pierced directly through its body. "Stab! No! My dream! It can't end here. I will become the new sovereign." The humanoid phrase tried to resist, but it could do nothing when it heard Aiden's voice again, this time colder, more definitive. "Disappear like the trash you are, Michael. Herace." At that moment, the humanoid phrase felt absolute horror. Its body began to disintegrate, its molecules breaking apart. "No, no, no. Forgive me. Please. I'll serve you. I won't invade any more worlds," it cried desperately as its form dissolved into unstoppable destruction. "Monster. Something like you shouldn't exist." Aiden didn't respond. In a second, he pulled Michael from its body, and then the portal closed, leaving the phrase reduced to dust with no trace of its existence. It all happened in less than 10 seconds. Its companions, paralyzed by the scene, couldn't react in time. Although one of them had quickly fallen, the phrases had no intention of retreating. They didn't believe they would lose with their entire army. So one of the commanders furiously shouted orders. "Charge!" roared one of the humanoids, staying behind to watch as its army launched itself at the being who remained seated on his golden throne. In that instant, hundreds of golden portals began to open behind Aiden. From those portals, rains of swords, spears, axes, and enchanted weapons poured down, as if the heavens themselves had unleashed their fury upon them. It was a spectacle of lights, a rain of destruction that pulverized the lower and mid-rank phrases with a single strike. Then, the same weapons disappeared into the golden portals, only to be fired again, over and over, like infinite bullets. "Impossible!" One of the humanoid phrases who had stayed behind widened its eyes, completely in shock at the chaos unfolding before it. The weapons fired from Aiden's Gate of Babylon continued to decimate the cannon fodder, taking down over 20,000 phrases in a matter of minutes, most of them of lower and mid-rank. But Aiden didn't move from his throne. He kept speaking calmly, stroking the head of the girl resting on his lap. To Aiden, these enemies no longer posed any challenge. It had been 90 years since he reached level 10 in the fauna, and since then, his power had grown enormously. He no longer relied on the fauna to become stronger, as it seemed he couldn't level up again. Or perhaps in this world, there was no being capable of pushing him to level 11. In short, Aiden no longer had to worry about the phrases, not even if their entire army united against him. Coterie, sitting on his lap and watching the battle in the distance, curiously asked, "That humanoid phrase you took care of yourself? Did you hold a grudge against him, or something?" The other girls in his soul also seemed curious. That was the only one who escaped during the war 90 years ago, and back then he was quite annoying. He said something like, "When you're an old man, I'll kill you and that girl with the key," and then he ran away. Aiden answered unhurriedly. Coterie nodded, twirling a strand of her red hair, styled in 2 pigtails, around her finger. "In other words, you got annoyed when that bug said he'd kill your woman, and you killed him when you saw him again, right?" Coterie summarized Aiden's true feelings. Ha ha! Aiden could only laugh awkwardly, knowing deep down that she was right. In Aiden's soul, the other girls also heard and were speechless for a moment. Asterisk. Makuro. Nushisama. Were you angry because of Muku? Did you remember the face of the insect to kill him, just because he insulted Muku? I love you. Nia. Cute. Kurumi. Cute. Miku. Darling, it's cute. Toka. Makuro. Stop blushing and muttering over and over again. But I also think it's cute. Yuzuru. Affirmation. Cute. Kaguya. The daughters of the hurricane think so too. Origami. Cute. Natsumi. He's very overprotective, but it's also cute. Yoshino. Cute. Yashinon. Haya, it's kinda cute, even though he's already 120 years old. He hasn't changed at all. Meanwhile, in the dimensional rift, Aiden continued destroying the cannon fodder, which numbered in the millions, until the heaviest part of the army appeared. A/N. In the next chapter, I'll include the level 10 status in the author's notes. By the way, there won't be a chapter tomorrow because I have some matters to attend to. The days I publish chapters are indicated in the novel's description: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. That makes a total of 5 chapters per week. I maintain this pace because my writing speed isn't very fast, and I also have to take care of things in the real world. Chapter 13, End of the 100-Year Contract 2. Dimensional Rift. Asterisk. So it will finally end 100 years of war against these disgusting invaders, murmured Kotori, who was sitting on Aiden's lap while watching the battle in the distance. Thousands of phrases were falling rapidly, killed by the weapons fired from golden portals. Aiden nodded, his gaze fixed on the chaos. This will be the last invasion we personally defend against. From now on, the contract with Yggsgard is complete, said Aiden, as an invisible chain began to wrap around his body. It was the contract he had made with Yggsgard a century ago. He had fulfilled his part, and now, the chain symbolized the end of his commitment. Krayakak. Aiden tore off the chains, breaking them with a simple thought. An astral armor appeared instantly on his body, glowing. Eloat Saboth, he pronounced, and his body lit up, transforming into a black knight's armor. Elegant and powerful, a fusion of beauty and strength. After this battle, this world will be left in the hands of Mochizuki Tuya. Aiden murmured. 100 years ago, Yggsgard had revealed the name of the person who would take his place, Tuya, the future protector of this world, capable of eradicating what remained of the phrases. Most of the invaders had already been exterminated by Aiden. Now he was enough to maintain peace. At last, we'll see a world similar to Darling's past life, Miku commented from within Aiden's soul. Declaration. I am excited, though also sad. We'll be leaving behind the world we protected for so long, said Yuzuru with a melancholic tone. This world was full of memories, and though the war against the phrases had marked their lives, she couldn't help but miss the place where they had spent over 90 years. We can always come back whenever we want with Aiden's magic. So don't be sad, sister. Though I will miss flying through this world's skies too, said Kaguya, cheering her sister up. Aiden let out a soft laugh. With my kaleidoscope magic, we can return whenever we want, as I have this world's coordinates. So don't feel down, Yuzuru, he said, while continuing to fire all kinds of weapons at the enemy army. He could hear the humanoid phrases cursing in the distance, their furious screams like music to his ears. That's right, don't feel down, Yuzuru-chin. I also put up a lot of barriers together with Aiden-kun around our house. Nothing will happen to it, said Nia. We can treat that house as our vacation spot, added Kurumi. That's a great idea, exclaimed Toka, wholeheartedly agreeing with Kurumi. I agree, said Origami briefly. They all shared their enthusiasm, thinking about how they would return whenever they missed their home. Meanwhile, Kotori, still leaning on Aiden, noticed something in the distance. Aiden, they're starting to bring out the heavy artillery. Your swords and weapons can no longer pierce their defenses all at once, Kotori said, alarmed. Aiden nodded and lifted Kotori in a princess carry, standing up. The throne. Sandalphon disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. I see, Aiden said, his gaze fixed on the horizon. There, he saw hundreds of high-ranking phrases approaching, each exceeding 400 meters in height, though their sizes varied. Lend me your strength, Aiden said, looking at the red-haired girl in his arms. She frowned, clearly annoyed. Don't you want me to fight alongside you in my human form? Are you afraid of me getting hurt? Or are you underestimating me? She asked, clenching her fists tightly. Aiden gently stroked her head, smiling. None of that. Although I don't like seeing you get hurt, I'm not underestimating you at all. I know you're strong, but aren't we stronger when we fight together? He replied with a smile, continuing to stroke her hair. It was true. The divine authorities were more powerful when Aiden wielded them. Don't treat me like a little girl while they're watching. Kotori protested, embarrassed, as all the others were watching from within his soul. It didn't take a second for the first provocation to start. Kotori-chin is shy. Despite being the age of a grandma, she acts like a little girl, Nia said, openly teasing, followed by the others' laughter. Veins bulged on Kotori's forehead. Fofofo. Nia-san, you can't expose Kotori-san's fetishes so easily. Even though she's the age of a grandma, 95 years old, she still calls Danasama Herb Oni-chan when they're alone, despite already being married to him, said Kurumi shamelessly, exposing Kotori's fetish without flinching. More veins popped on Kotori's forehead as her face, red as her hair, seemed about to explode. Speaking of fetishes, Aiden seemed to like it when Kotori called him Oni-chan. Maybe I should do it too, said Origami, the most shameless of them all, leaving everyone speechless. Aiden nearly choked but quickly refocused on the enemy army, firing from the Gate of Babylon at the low and mid-ranking phrases, annihilating the cannon fodder with precision. Origami, have some shame. Natsumi intervened, embarrassed by Origami's shameless words. Yeah, you can't make fun of Kotori's fetish like that. Kagaya chimed in. Even if her tastes are questionable, it's not right to mock others. Yoshino murmured softly. Pda. Yashinon, Yoshino's alter ego, chuckled. Is Yoshino mocking Kotori or defending her? Natsumi was speechless. That wasn't my intention. Yoshino quickly apologized just in case. Kotori, everyone already knows you have that fetish, so there's no need to deny it. You're not the only one with questionable fetishes. Cheer up, Miku said. Hey, I don't have any weird fetishes, Toka protested. Having Aiden praise you, pat your head, and call you princess during intimate moments, isn't that a fetish? Origami asked. Toka. Pfta. Kurumi laughed. I don't have weird fetishes, don't drag me into this, Natsumi said. She's right. Kagaya and the others agreed with Natsumi. Haha, I still think it's funny that Kotori calls Aiden-kun Oni-chan, even though she's older than a human grandmother. Nia continued laughing at Kotori. The girls didn't stop teasing Kotori. Nia, Makuro, Kurumi, Yuzu, Miku, Kagaya, and Origami. All of them relentlessly made jokes at her expense. Meanwhile, Toka, Natsumi, and even the shy Yoshino indirectly joined in, causing Kotori to explode mid-battlefield. What the hell are you all talking about? I don't have that kind of fetish, Kotori shouted, though she didn't sound very convincing as she tried to defend herself. TSK. Maybe I should ask my Oni-chan to check Raziel to expose all the embarrassing things you've done over the years. I don't even want to imagine what perverts like you would do, she threatened furiously, making it clear she wouldn't hesitate to use the omniscient book to reveal their darkest secrets. I apologize, Nia was the first to say, quickly backing down. As the bearer of Raziel, she didn't want her own secrets exposed. Aiden and Kotori exchanged disapproving looks at how fast Nia apologized. I apologize to my little sister, Kotori-sama, Kurumi continued. She loved teasing others but couldn't stand being teased herself. Oh, Origami said without much interest. She didn't care if her secrets were known, as she considered the girls her sisters. The rest quickly apologized, fearing their secrets might also come to light. At that precise moment, a high-ranked phrase shaped like a crocodile was already 100 meters from Aiden, preparing to attack. Kotori, let's deal with that later. For now, let's focus on these things, Aiden said, refocusing on the battle. Got it, Kotori replied obediently. Her body began to shine brightly, transforming into a massive wall of fire. Whoosh! Burn! Camel! Aiden and Kotori shouted in unison. The wall of fire transformed into something far more powerful. And then, slash! Boom! The head of the giant approaching phrase was destroyed by Aiden's halberd as he appeared in front of it in the blink of an eye. After cutting through the giant, Aiden manipulated the flames around him, wiping out several low and mid-ranked phrases nearby. Explosion. He spun his halberd with skill, destroying the giant phrase's cores to ensure it couldn't regenerate. The flames quickly expanded, engulfing the area, and in a flash, Aiden vanished, leaving only an afterimage. He appeared right beneath a high-ranked gorilla-shaped phrase. The gorilla spotted him and, with fury, swung a massive punch with its enormous arm. Aiden chuckled. With an agile leap, he propelled himself off the gorilla's crystalline arm, using its force to bend his legs and prepare his next move. Explosion. The gorilla's arm shattered like glass under Aiden's momentum as he appeared right in the monster's face. "Hi there, big guy, but you're heading straight to hell," Aiden said with a defiant smile. Slash. Explosion. Whoosh. The halberd, engulfed in flames, pierced through the giant, leaving a line of fire across its entire body. Boom! The gorilla's body exploded into 1,000 pieces along with its cores, scattering debris everywhere. Aiden wielded Camel with astounding skill and, without losing time, annihilated over 20 high-ranked phrases in the blink of an eye. Seeing the havoc Aiden was wreaking, the humanoid phrases began barking orders. "Destroy that arrogant, inferior creature," a humanoid phrase shouted furiously. More than 50 high-ranked and over 10,000 mid-ranked phrases began gathering intense, white light in their mouths. The dimensional rift filled with glowing points. "Let him be annihilated by the civilization-destroying ray," another humanoid roared, issuing the final command. Boom! Boom! Flash! Explosion! Destructive rays rained down on Aiden's small figure, but he only smiled and called out to his wife. "Makuro!" In that instant, Makuro appeared by his side, wearing her astral dress, Iloa. "Yes, Nushi-sama," Makuro responded, summoning her angel without hesitation. "Michael, Shifuru." The key appeared in her hands, quickly transforming into a spear as her Ryoryoku exploded, revealing her true power. Makuro's astral dress changed, taking on a wilder and more menacing appearance. "Shove your beloved civilization-destroying ray where it belongs," Makuro shouted defiantly. Latai! A massive wormhole appeared in front of Aiden and Makuro, swallowing the destructive rays as if they were nothing. Boom! The rays impacted the wormhole, but it was useless. It only grew larger, devouring them entirely. "Now Muku sends it back to you." Another wormhole appeared above all the high-ranked phrases, and suddenly, their own civilization-destroying ray began raining down on them. Boom! Explosion! "Damn it!" the humanoid phrases exclaimed, shocked and terrified at what was happening. The destructive rays annihilated thousands of phrases of all ranks. Only the humanoids, with quick reflexes, managed to dodge the massacre, or so they thought. Just as they believed they were safe, a voice sounded beside them. "Hello!" Aiden appeared next to one of the humanoids, with a cannon covering his entire right arm. "Damn human!" the phrase managed to shout, unable to react in time. "Megado!" Aiden and Kotori shouted in unison. Boom! Whoosh! A line of fire shot through the dimensional rift, transforming into a massive flaming ray that wiped out thousands of phrases, even eliminating several humanoids. Chapter 14. End of the 100-Year Contract 3. Dimensional Rift. Asterisk. "Damn it," yelled a humanoid phrase who barely managed to dodge Aiden and Kotori's shot, furious as he watched his allies fall like flies. "He annihilated more than 5 humanoids like us," murmured another, cautiously eyeing Aiden, who held a cannon engulfed in flames. "That idiot assured us this guy should already be dead, or at least weakened by old age. He's useless. He lied to us and was the first to die," roared a third, though in truth, he was only thinking of how to escape. He didn't believe they could win against that monster. The same thought was beginning to form in the minds of all the humanoid phrases. How were they going to escape? They could use their army of millions as a distraction. At least that way, it would take this human days to finish off the remaining low, mid, and high-rank phrases. "We can escape if we use the others as a distraction," shouted one. "Don't be ridiculous. The queen is in that world," replied another, who was willing to stay and fight for her, even if it cost him his life. I don't care about the queen if I'm going to die, damn it. Die alone if you want, answered another, who began flying at high speed, dodging his companions as he fled in the opposite direction of Aiden. Then, a cold and monotone voice reached him from behind. Question: will you escape? Among the phrases, Yuzuru appeared. Her astral dress, Elohim Tsaboth, radiated a majestic and menacing aura. The bluish-purple fabric shimmered with an ethereal glow, and the chains adorning her left hand and foot resonated with a metallic echo. A flowing half-skirt draped to her knees, leaving her thighs exposed, while her orange hair swayed with every movement. The phrase, startled by the unfamiliar voice, opened his eyes wide. In a reflexive act, his right arm transformed into a colossal sword, which he swung ferociously at the newcomer. Swoosh! Slash! But Yuzuru barely needed to move. With elegant flight, she dodged the attack with almost mechanical precision, as the phrase's sword extended and accelerated, mercilessly mowing down his own allies who were unlucky enough to be in its path. Determination. Aiden said no humanoids will escape, so please die, said Yuzuru, her tone as monotone as before. The phrase gritted his teeth and glared at her with restrained fury, but Yuzuru didn't give him time to react. Invoking Raphael El Naash. Suddenly, beautiful chains emerged around her as a metallic angelic wing unfolded from her back with an imposing sound. Hush! SHHRR! The chains spun around her, forming devastating tornadoes that obliterated the nearby phrases, thwarting any attempt to use them as shields. FZZT. She, enveloped in crackling lightning, the chains moved with a will of their own, as if possessed. The phrase, who until then had believed himself invincible, understood his fate was sealed. Boom! Explosion. The chains shot toward him like railgun projectiles, destroying everything in their path without discrimination of rank or position. Clank! The sound of the chains piercing his body echoed like a final blow. Moments later, the phrase was devoured by the electric tornado, disappearing amidst the chaos. Confirmed. Dead, Yuzuru declared with cold precision as the chains returned to their initial position, spinning with a faint glow before vanishing. Yuzuru's twin, Kaguya, soared through the dimensional rift with an overwhelming aura. She wore an astral dress identical to her sister's, except for its deep purple color, which gleamed like the evening sky. She flew directly toward the giant phrases with a daring smile on her face. "Ha! Fall before this daughter of the hurricane," she exclaimed energetically, playing the role of heroine with theatrical enthusiasm. "I can't let villains like you destroy the innocent lives of that world." Raphael El-Riem. Upon invoking her angel, a colossal spear appeared in her right hand, while a metallic wing, similar to that of an angel, emerged from her back with a celestial glow. Whoosh! The air began to swirl around her, forming a cyclone of immense power. Lightning coiled through the tornado, enveloping her in a living storm seemingly poised to destroy everything in its path. Explosion! Bang! A high-ranking phrase didn't even have time to react. Kaguya's spear pierced him like lightning shot from a railgun, leaving only sparks in the air where his body once was. "Ha! I am the last defense of civilization," she shouted with vibrant laughter, further intensifying the spectacle. Bang! Bang! Every move she made was devastating. Her spear, wrapped in lightning and hurricane winds, continued to obliterate the phrase army, reducing them to dust. At the center of the chaos, Kaguya laughed as if she were in the climax of an epic play, proclaiming herself the heroine defending the planet from darkness. Though in reality, she wasn't entirely wrong. Asterisk. She doesn't mature. Why is she so happy? Murmured Miku. Miku, who was also wearing her astral dress, Shaddai El-Chai. Her outfit was predominantly yellow, with blue and white frills decorating some parts of the dress. She wore a yellow crescent moon-shaped hairpin adorned with white lilies, matching her crescent moon earrings and a choker with another white lily on her neck. Her legs were covered in white stockings, and she wore yellow high heels with lilies on the ankles. I'll help Darling and the others too, said Miku, raising her hands as if playing a piano. A floating keyboard appeared right in front of her. Sing Gabriel. A giant musical organ appeared behind her, and she began to play it. Ah! Her voice launched as a sonic attack enveloped in Ryuryoku, shattering the crystalline bodies of the phrases into pieces. Mika moved her fingers as she flew, using her voice as a weapon. The melodies of her Angel, Gabriel, could enhance her allies' physical strength, and she controlled who received the buff, making her companions in battle even stronger. In the dimensional rift, everyone could hear Mika's beautiful melody, but the two sides had very different opinions. While Aiden and the others felt euphoric, literally becoming stronger, the humanoid phrases cursed like never before. The melodies restricted their movements, causing them to take more hits from Aiden, Makuro, Yuzuru, and Kagaya. Some were even annihilated in the process. And as if that wasn't enough, more girls with even more powerful abilities appeared and finished them off. Natsumi, the petite, green-haired lowly, wore her astral dress, Adonai Sabaoth, resembling that of a cute witch. Even her witch hat was larger than her tiny head. In her hands, she held a broom with a jewel at the tip. Aiden, I'll give you more fuel. So take it, she whispered in an adorable voice, but Aiden, who was far away destroying some humanoid phrases, heard her perfectly. Swash! She waved her broom, and a brilliant rainbow spread over a radius of more than a kilometer. Haniel, kaleidoscope. All the phrases covered by that rainbow were transformed against their will, as if reality itself had been altered. Whoosh! Thousands of phrases were turned into pillars of fire. All done, Aiden, shouted Natsumi, feeling something lift her off the ground. Bang! A second later, a humanoid phrase appeared and attacked Natsumi, but she was no longer there. You need to be careful, Natsumi, said Aiden, who had rescued her and was holding her in his arms while the cannon on his right hand began to glow. Yes. Thank you, Aiden. The petite lowly smiled, blushing. The flames Natsumi had transformed with Haniel began to flow into the cannon, as if it were devouring them. But thanks for the fuel, said Aiden, as he kissed her on the lips. Natsumi blushed even more and disappeared from his arms, returning to her soul. Aiden chuckled at her reaction and fixed his gaze on the humanoid phrases. Then, he looked at the one who had attacked Natsumi with a cold stare. Origami, I leave it to you, said Aiden. Yes, Oni-chan, she responded, testing if she really liked calling him that. She smiled upon noticing that he flinched slightly. Then, she materialized in her astral dress. A beautiful white dress with golden details and a golden crown accompanied by a bridal veil. Don't call me that, Origami. Aiden was helpless and quickly left with his loaded cannon. Boom! In the distance, a line of flames emerged, followed by a massive explosion, signaling that Aiden had once again used Camel, Megiddo. Origami stared coldly at the phrase that had attacked Natsumi. The phrase, sensing it had no choice, attacked. Its crystalline arm extended, forming a massive axe a kilometer long. Slash! Slash! It swung the gigantic axe at Origami with great speed, but she simply flew, observing it disdainfully as the phrase roared. Ah! Why? You and that disgusting human are so strong. If it weren't for you, I'd have already found the queen. Don't you ever get bored? Roared the humanoid phrase. Origami tired of the game and simply said, Metatron, 100 cannons, resembling golden and white feathers, appeared around her. You can simply die, insect, she said with a smile that wasn't a smile. Shemesh. The cannons moved swiftly, surrounding the humanoid phrase as light began to gather at their tips. Damn it! The phrase, in desperation, discarded its axe and created a massive 20-meter-wide crystal shield around its body. But it was useless. Bang! 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 The 100 shots hit its body, turning it to pure dust. Done, murmured Origami, flying forward to assist the others with the army. Aiden continued decimating the phrases alongside his girls, focusing especially on the humanoids and largely ignoring the battle's remnants. The spectacle of lights in the dimensional rift lasted for 5 long days until, finally, Aiden eradicated the entire invading army. Although it wasn't a challenge in terms of strength, the task was grueling due to the sheer number of those creatures. In the end, they totaled in the millions, prolonging the battle for 3 days. Some humanoid phrases managed to escape, but Aiden remained unfazed. He instilled fear in their minds, knowing they wouldn't have the courage to return. As for the remaining forces, little was left after Aiden, along with Makuro, Nia, Kurumi, Miku, Toka, Yuzuru, Kagaya, Origami, Kotori, Natsumi, Yoshino, and Yashinon, annihilated. Over 3 million phrases including low and mid-tier ranks. Over 10,000 high-tier ranks. Over 200 humanoid phrases. The invading army no longer posed a significant threat. Even if they regrouped in the future, they would think twice before attempting another invasion, knowing that Aiden still remained as this world's protector. They had waited over 90 years, convinced that Aiden had died of old age or left this world. But they were wrong. Aiden was still there, and now the subconscious fear among those invaders ensured they wouldn't return for a long time. This period without threats would be enough for the next world protector, Mochizuki Tuya, to grow stronger. By the time the remnants of the invading race returned to search for their queen, Tuya would be ready to defend the world. That was why Aiden trusted leaving the protection of this world in Tuya's hands. Moreover, Tuya would have the help of important figures like Dr. Regina Babylon, who had once built mechas and left her floating gardens scattered across the world. Aiden sighed, floating in the dimensional rift as he raised his hands toward the vast void. With a nostalgic smile, he shouted, "At last, I can go to a modern world." Tears fell from his face. Although it might seem trivial, Aiden felt a deep longing to return to a modern world. Yes, reincarnating into an Yggsgard and having a harem was an incredible experience, but after over 100 years of fighting in a fantasy world, he was exhausted. Now, he just wanted to live peacefully in a modern world, surrounded by his wives. He had fought enough. Before leaving, he decided to spend one last night at his house in this world, feeling a bit nostalgic. Chapter 15, Farewell to a World. Yggsgard was smartphone to Tomo and I. World of Alicia. Kingdom of Belfast. City of Leafred Eastern Forest. Asterisk. In the sky. Aiden looked down at the 16-year-old boy with a Japanese appearance who had just arrived in this world. Yes, Aiden was watching Mochizuki Tuya from the clouds. He knew, thanks to Raziel, that this boy had already reincarnated and arrived in this world thanks to a god who had reincarnated him after accidentally striking him with a lightning bolt. Tuya was walking towards the nearest village when a cart with a horse approached and offered to help him get there. "So that's the boy who will protect this world from now on," murmured Nia, who was inside Aiden's soul, as she watched Tuya. Aiden, flying in the air and observing him, nodded. "He doesn't seem too strong. I could defeat him with a single blow." "Is he really the one?" commented Toka. Tuya was as physically strong as Aiden was when he reached level 2, which made him sigh. He assumed the god who reincarnated him gave him that strength so he wouldn't die immediately. But he could become stronger over time, learning magic, as Aiden could sense a huge amount of magical power coming from him, at least the same as Aiden had when he was at level 3. Well, it's obvious that he won't be that strong since he just reincarnated a few minutes ago, according to Raziel, Kotori responded to Toka. But Aiden's attention was elsewhere. After reaching the nearest village, Tuya took a cell phone out of his pocket. Yes, a cell phone. And it had internet. In this fantasy world, Tuya had internet and could entertain himself by browsing the real-time internet from his previous world. Aiden watched him with envy, wondering if he should steal the phone, but then shook his head, as he wasn't the type of person to do that. Dana-sama is so immature sometimes, ha ha ha. Kurumi laughed, guessing what Aiden was thinking. What's going on? What's wrong with Aiden? Asked Kagaya, curious. Question. Why do you have that envious face? Added Yuzuru, also noticing Aiden's expression despite being inside his soul. Well, Aiden could only point at Tuya's cell phone with an envious look. Aiden-kun, are you still on that? Yashinon laughed. How addicted were you to the internet or technology in general in your past life? Origami was speechless. Nushisan. Makuro was also speechless. But it makes me envious. Aiden pointed at Tuya from afar as the clouds passed above him. Look, that guy can browse the internet with that magical phone that even seems like a divine authority. How is that supposed to work? How can he connect to the internet from another world? Aiden was helpless and could only envy Tuya. He compared it to a divine authority since that phone really had divine power. Connecting to the internet was just one of its functions. Aiden could have created his own phone with material from this world, but there was no internet here, nor the culture from his previous world to entertain himself. So he had given up a long time ago. But seeing how Tuya could view things from his past life on his phone, he could only envy him. Comparing this hurricane daughter to that piece of junk, Aiden bad. Kagaya scolded him. Assertion, Aiden bad. Yuzuru reprimanded him in her Kaderi voice. Nushisan, bad. Makuro also scolded him. Fufufo, Danasama, you can't compare your wives to that piece of junk. Kurumi laughed, mocking him. Oenai-chan bad. Origami called him that again, in a cute voice, and Aiden shuddered as if he liked it, and she laughed. Aiden was speechless, but when he heard how Origami called him, he felt conflicted, realizing he had that kind of fetish. I'm sorry. He could only apologize helplessly, and they laughed in response. Do I have a fetish for little sisters? Aiden thought. Stop with the Oni-chan right now. Kotori argued with Origami. Yoshino-chan, call him that too, and maybe he'll pamper and adore you. Yashinon whispered to Yoshino, but Aiden heard it perfectly and twisted his lips. He imagined a scene where cute Yoshino called him that with flushed cheeks, feeling a bit of heat in his nose. When he touched it, he wiped it and saw he had blood. He was speechless to discover he was a pervert. Do you want to kill me? Aiden thought Yashinon wanted to end his life. Do you want me to call you that? Aiden-san? If you like it, I have no problem with it. Yoshino whispered. Aiden, look, that boy already got his first harem members. Natsumi changed the subject to save Aiden's life, as she didn't want him to die. Natsumi! Aiden thought his witch was an angel at this moment. Aiden watched as Tuya saved 2 girls or helped some girls from bullies, and then they walked together. Those girls, shortly after, also taught him magic and the basics of this world. After seeing that Tuya, the future protector of this world, had started his new life safely, Aiden shook his head and decided to leave. Aiden left some help for Tuya. In some ruins where he had fought against the phrases before, he placed some of his magic research in Japanese so that Tuya could understand it. He also left information about the phrases and other details that would be useful to him. Tuya would eventually discover these treasures as he got accustomed to this world. Additionally, Dr. Regina Babylon and her androids, who resided in the floating gardens of Babylon, would be there to help Tuya grow stronger, so Aiden wasn't too worried about the safety of the world he had protected for so long. Although, if any truly serious danger appeared, he could always return to defend it with his magic. Whoosh! Aiden propelled himself, flying into space, where he looked at the landscape of this magical world before deciding to leave. The planet's green color, along with its seas, looked beautiful from that height. His magic for traveling to other parallel worlds, Kaleidoscope, required a large amount of magical power, and the destination was always a random parallel world. So he would probably visit many worlds before finding one he really liked. After arriving in another world, Aiden could store its coordinates if he wanted to return to that place in the future. However, he could only make 2 or 3 jumps a day at most, since the cost of crossing the dimensional rift and traveling to a parallel world was very high, even with his magical power regeneration ability. Aiden raised his right hand to activate his magic. Don't forget to use Raziel to investigate the type of world you land in. If it's not suitable for us, we'll jump to another, Nia said. Yes, boss, Aiden replied, as Nia laughed. Let's make bets. Toka suddenly exclaimed. The world we'll jump to now is a modern one. Mika bet. It'll be one without supernatural beings, but in the medieval era, Makuro added. It'll be one similar to this, Kotori said. The girls started making bets, leaving Aiden speechless. After a while, Aiden looked at this world for the last time and said, "Well, goodbye for now. We'll be back," all the girls exclaimed in unison. "Open, kaleidoscope," Aiden murmured, activating his magic. Crack! A multicolored portal, like a kaleidoscope, opened in front of him, as if space itself were breaking. Aiden gave one last look at the world where he had spent 100 years, and then he left. A/N. Here I was able to finish an extra chapter. Although it's short, it only has about 1,200 words or so. Anyway, don't expect many additional chapters, since my writing speed is slow. Also, I write from a cell phone because my laptop ascended to the sky after a bite from my cat. Anyway, I finished the first arc, so to speak. This mini-arc is here to explain where the girls came from and how Aiden built his strength. I wrote it in this world because this Yggsgard was one of the first ones I read and watched in anime, and I have a bit of affection for it. That's why I decided to create this training arc. Chapter 16, Draconic Dais, DxD. Draconic Dais. Earth. Pacific Ocean. Asterisk. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the waves went back and forth like any other day, until suddenly a circular portal with the vibrant colors of a kaleidoscope appeared, tearing through space as if the sky itself was ripping. From the portal emerged a teenager with white hair and golden eyes. It was obviously Aiden. Floating above the sea, Aiden looked around, observing the waves as the wind caressed his body. "The sea, again," he murmured, raising his right hand to shield himself from the sun. "At least you didn't land in a dragon's nest. Imagine getting bombarded by a pack with their breath as soon as you arrive," commented Kotori, appearing beside Aiden in a flash. She too floated above the water, dressed in a black sailor uniform with her hair tied in twin tails. Soon after, the other girls began to materialize around them, curiously observing this new world. "What attempt is this, anyway?" asked Kaguya, as the wind played with her orange hair, making it stick to her face. Annoyed, she adjusted the air around her with a quick motion to avoid the discomfort. "I don't know," replied Toka, shrugging. "Affirmation. 239 to be exact," said Yuzuru with a thoughtful expression. "Have we really made that many attempts?" exclaimed Natsumi, completely stunned. It was true. Aiden and the girls had already made 239 attempts, using kaleidoscope magic to travel between parallel worlds. However, they always ended up in fantasy worlds or societies still trapped in medieval times. Aiden wanted to reach a modern world, like the one from his past life, but that goal kept evading them. "Let's hope this is the one, like the world from Darling's past life," said Miku optimistically, hugging Aiden from behind while resting her chin on his shoulder. Aiden couldn't help but notice the two generous masses pressing against his back, and his mind briefly wandered into an involuntary thought. Miku is quite well endowed. "Yes, I'm already tired of jumping from one world to another," added Origami with a sigh, joining Miku in hugging one of Aiden's arms. "Why don't we find out what kind of world this is instead of wasting time?" proposed Nia pragmatically. Aiden nodded, looking at Nia, who responded with an ironic smile upon noticing how Miku and Origami were monopolizing Aiden. "Raziel," Nia pronounced, summoning her angel. The others, including Aiden, gathered around her, preparing to investigate with the almost omniscient power of the angel what kind of world they had landed in this time. The group reviewed the basic information about this world for a while, until the book disappeared from Nia's hands. "This world is modern, but..." Kurumi frowned. "It's similar to the one we saw in Nushisama's memories. The planet, the continents, and the countries have the same names," added Makuro while playing with her hair. "Yes." Yoshino nodded timidly. "But it's outrageous," complained Yashinon, the puppet in Yoshino's left hand. And she was right. This world was, indeed, outrageous. Demons, angels, fallen angels, vampires, yokais, dragons, gods, and other supernatural creatures existed here. All these races were divided into multiple factions, and alternate dimensions coexisted within the same world, such as hell or the underworld, where demons, fallen angels, dragons, and other beings lived. These dimensions were as vast as the earth itself. There was also heaven, but not the one you see when you look up. It was the heaven described in the Bible, home to angels and the biblical God, although according to this information, that God was dead. Aiden and the girls weren't too surprised by the diversity of races, as in Alicia, demons, dragons, and elves also coexisted, among others. However, some of the races here were unknown to them, and the way this world was structured did manage to surprise them, especially the existence of angels and demons from the biblical myth. This latter point particularly shocked them, because Aiden and his group's powers were based on the myth of the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah, and the Sephiroth. Even their weapons were literally called angels. They couldn't help but feel intrigued. Moreover, in this world, supernatural races lived hidden from humans. Most of the population was unaware that the myths were real, although there was a minority who knew, such as the faction of the church, which was subordinate to heaven. But the most outrageous of all were two entities: the Great Red, the Dragon of Dreams, and Ophis Ouroboros, the Infinite Dragon. Because of these two creatures, Aiden and the girls decided to classify this world as outrageous. They weren't sure they could defeat them if they were to face them. They might have a chance if they unleashed all the power of their angels and demon kings, which were normally sealed. Although Aiden could use them without issues when inverted. Even so, he wasn't convinced they could win. Either way, they thought those two dragons wouldn't look for trouble, right? I'm happy we found a modern world similar to my past life, but this is too much. I can only say, parallel worlds are fantastic, said Aiden, deciding to stay. Yes, all those myths are real here. Zeus and Olympus, Odin and Asgard. Even the biblical myth, added Kurumi, looking at the group. Toka didn't pay much attention, convinced that no one could defeat them. Yoshino, though a little scared, trusted that Aiden would always protect her, and the others shared that same reassurance. The angels of this world have the same names as our angels. It's a bit strange, commented Kagaya, and everyone, including Aiden, nodded. Even the demon kings are demon clans in the underworld, added Kodari. That's not strange, considering the Tree of Life/Death, Sapphira/Cliffa, is connected to the biblical myth in another parallel world, replied Aiden thoughtfully. As he reflected, he couldn't help but think about how incredible the existence of parallel worlds was. Each one harbored unimaginable things. Maybe, in some corner of the multiverse, there was a world where anime and the stories from his past life were a reality. Perhaps even this same world could be the setting of an anime or a light novel from another universe. With a tired smile, Aiden touched his forehead and decided to stop thinking about it. The only thing Muku worries about in this world is those two dragons, said Makuro with a thoughtful expression. Yes, the Great Red, who controls the concept of dreams, and Ophis, the Infinite Dragon, who controls infinity. Kurumi nodded, sharing her concern. Aiden could beat them, exclaimed Toka confidently, causing the group to laugh. Putting aside whether I could beat them or not for now, this is a hassle. This world is very troublesome, said Aiden with clear annoyance. That's the supernatural side of the world, commented Nia with a calm smile. If we live among the humans, we don't need to get involved. We just have to hide our power. You're right? I don't believe for a second that we won't get involved with the world's problems, replied Origami, her tone dry. Nia's smile instantly became stiff. According to the rules of this world, the 12 of us would have a strength on par with Satan, an archangel, or even a god. So, sooner or later, it's likely we'll get into trouble just because we're powerful. And don't even mention Dana-sama, who can use all of our powers at once, added Kurumi with a dark smile, making it clear that she didn't trust staying out of the conflicts either. Well, at least we can defend ourselves and defeat anyone who causes trouble, exclaimed Toka while throwing punches in the air, full of energy. Why are you so violent? Asked Natsumi, unable to hold back her comment. The only truly worrying individuals are those two dragons, said Aiden seriously. The others nodded almost in unison. Yes, but there's no way those two would notice us just like that, right? Asked Kagaya with a carefree smile. At that moment, the tension in the air skyrocketed, and everyone froze. Kagaya, murmured Yashinon, speechless. Question, Kagaya, Idiot, did you just raise a flag? Asked Yuzuru with a smile that looked more like a grimace. But we just arrived in this world. We haven't done anything to draw their attention, right? Replied Kagaya, trying to maintain her smile, though it was also forced. Well, in Raziel, it says that dream dragon protects this world from invaders from other worlds while floating in the dimensional rift, added Nia with a similarly forced smile. And technically, we are invaders, right? Pointed out Aiden, looking at them with resignation. Shit, murmured everyone in unison, looking up at the sky. Crack! A moment later, a colossal rift opened high above. From the abyss, a golden draconic, I watched them with a terrifying intensity. The Great Red was there. Asterisk. End of the chapter. A/N. I will be changing some details regarding the DxD universe. For example, in the original work, the story takes place around 2008, but I've decided to set it closer to 2018. Thank you for reading.